All right, let's continue, and we got Deji just in time for this part. But first, let's start with the scroll. So, Dweebs, if you please.
Okay. I have suffered greatly to keep my secret, but now I haven't got a hope of completing my mission to worry about the consequences of revealing it. No one has realized until now that I am actually a woman.
Dun, dun,
Oh.
dun.
I infiltrated the army to find my fiancé, who left me standing at the altar to answer the sudden call of duty. One thing I know is that he enlisted in the Brotherhood as a scout, and that this castle was his last destination before he disappeared. In the last few days, as I dragged my heavy armor through these sultry passageways, I've had enough time to think about what I will say to when I find him. Hilbert, you are never the most devout man. You always criticize the inefficiency of the army. If you thought I'd believe your lies, you were quite wrong. I have come back to ensure you never return and to make it clear that I found a man who does not judge my duty as cruelly as you did. He doesn't even care that I have a pole through my skull.
Jesus, so let me get this straight. This woman was so jaded that she joined the army
full Mulan.
just to try and kill. It sounds like she wanted to kill her old lover by the sounds of it because she wanted to make sure he'd never return. What the hell?
And then turns the parchment to the other side. He don't believe his lies. He's the one.
Okay.
Kill him.
I like this. Between this room, you actually have a mini game. Shoot the target, just to pass the time.
Oh, okay.
With an actual music box.
Cue the targeting minigame, the theme from Ocarina of Time.
Hey, vampire killer.
A bit. And if you perform
Quick, awesome!
A bit.
Outstanding! Amazing!
You get just a bit of experience points, which, fine by me.
So there you go. We finally have a Brotherhood member who was a woman.
So yeah, anyway, this is actually, like I mentioned in the previous part, actually my personal highlight for, not the entire game, but at the very least for the castle section for the past. It's not like the game becomes bad after this, but it's definitely the thing that I like the most about this. Because now we basically have to search for one piece, but it's in the hands of a toy maker. Again, that figure that has apparently made all the tramps in Mirror of Fate, so we actually need to know what the deal with him is. But the thing about it is that if you not pay attention to the aesthetics in Mirror of Fate, which are gonna be reprised in when we actually see where the theater is, for some reason the toy maker decides to use a lot of Chinese theater aesthetics. Surprisingly enough, I don't know why. It's not even stated much in his bio. It seems to be just a quirk that he has.
Interesting.
QT to spin the roll, spin to win. And you also have a timer before actually retreat, so move on. But before doing that, I'm getting a couple of extra collectibles, and I'm also returning to the Chupacabra's shop to showcase to him the talisman that I got, the Kleidos.
All right.
To see what the deal is about. Yes, Dad,
When
yes.
Dracula, I was gonna say,
yeah,
puts his hand on that thing. Is that supposed to be a Dune reference?
Yeah, I guess so. There were some, that kind of concept, the idea that you have to show a test of fate and endurance by putting your hand in a box, and resisting despite the pain. It's kind of a common thing. We have, that's cute. We do have an actual monument in my country, which is called the Mouth of Truth. You might remember that as the face of some of the golems in Fire Emblem Fates for some reason. And legend says that it's a thing that tourists do to this day. You have to put your hand inside it and make a truth or dare kind of statement. If you're telling a lie, the mouth will actually crush your hand, so you better not be lying. So that kind of thing is as old as mankind. But and honestly, it resembles more torture device. In Dune, I think that's even in the book, mind you. It's not just the David Leitch version or the new version. In Dune, the pain that the protagonist feels is only theoretical, especially because when he pulls away the hand, it's perfectly fine. There are no actual bruises and everything or heat, marks, because as the Jezebel said, it was more like heat that he was supposed to feel. Hey, pay attention. Piece of shit.
Someone who can pay attention. That's what I need.
So, Tio, you hinted at it, but how was the new Dune movie?
I'll mention it in a second because right after I'm completing the purchase, I'm going to showcase the cutscene about the. Jesus Christ! Do you want me to buy your stuff or not?
Yeah, they should put this gremlin character in the next Resident Evil game as a shopkeeper.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Jesus Christ.
Look, consider who the shopkeeper was in 8, it wouldn't be that out of place.
No, that is true.
You found a Kleidos.
I was gonna use that.
Actually, he has to use it.
Just read the
Yeah. Chupacabras only can read it. This dispel, actually?
About the cadaver.
That's it.
Oh.
Go
Oh.
ahead, my lord. Choose a challenge.
Again, I'm not going to showcase them because these are literally just combat challenges but have no real story significance or extra cutscenes. But again, it's a nice touch that they bothered to include these and I wanted to show it. But to answer Jova's question, I really enjoyed it. I have a huge soft spot for the Regiment version, believe it or not. Much like with Mars Attacks, I only discovered that the rest... Please stop it. I discovered only way later down the line that it genuinely has a negative reputation, more than being instead of being appreciated, which it's understandable. Actually, some of my friends actually did tell me more about the book and how the David Lynch version takes some liberties from it, which, again, fair enough. But I really also enjoyed this new version. It takes itself very seriously. It only has like 1 or 2 moments of levity, so it's not like it's completely joyless or it has darkness induced all this apathy, but it does take itself, seriously enough. It only adapts the first half of the first story, so we're gonna have like a It situation with like probably chapter 2 coming along. Alright, more in a second because there you go, now we reach the theaters. Unfortunately, is not in a very pristine state, so
Well,
we
of
need
course
to...
not. We kind of wrecked it in Mirror of Fate.
So we kind of need to, work things a bit out before actually seeing where the toy maker is. Anyway, to continue, I like the actors. You will keep in mind I saw only the turned up, I don't know the performances. The appearances, the aesthetics that they match, even the CGI is actually pretty good. It has a very moody atmosphere. You can tell that it has some mild inspiration from the Zack Snyder movies in terms of aesthetic, mind you, not necessarily just the dialogue or anything. The thing that probably is more polarizing, at least for us, is gonna be the score, because it's Hans Zimmer, mind you, and he probably heard it if you watch a trailer, but he really loves the woman sings in the background bit, not in a somber way, in this time to represent a bit more the culture of indigenous people of the planet of Dune, which do reflect a bit, culture from the Middle East, since the whole story is, apparent to Lawrence of Arabia. Anyway, next scroll, Pedro.
Oh, right. Sorry. The armor is making my body cold and the exhaustion is because will never stop snowing in this place. I've managed to drag myself to the old theater. I must find refuge, but I'm afraid to enter. Wait, am I in Last of Us Part 2 now? I hear this hysterical laughter inside and I think I know what it is. The legend is true. The elders weren't lying. The toy maker exists. And the cold nights of winter. They spoke of him in this, sir, and the reason, though, the toy maker disappeared into eternal hibernation. I suppose the fearsome lord of the castle will wake him up and took his place over. The laughter has stopped. I think the worst has passed. Oh, well, I'll wait here a minute more and then go in.
Well,
And then
That was disappointingly anticlimactic.
Gauntlets.
bonk. He went to already jail.
Yeah.
What could possibly be happening? Oh, okay, I guess I'll wait then.
What could possibly go wrong?
No, Dad, we're not doing that. Also, but
I was referencing Fairly Odd Parents.
Sure you did. I really appreciate even the score, despite, again, like I just said, it's probably going to be more polarizing. So overall, I did enjoy the movie. Not as, like, I desperately needed to get a movie ticket to actually watch it, but I definitely still enjoyed it. And it's showcased that the team behind it had the respect for the source material. You know, they wanted to convey a sense of dignity to the series, rather than just, you know, being a bit more, you know, Hollywood like cheesy. So there is that. And according to Warner Bros., keep in mind the movie, as the time of this recording, has been released just in European countries, not all of them, just but a lot of European countries. And apparently it's outdoing the expectation Warner Bros. Had. Keep in mind the budget was like, I think, around 200 million, I think. I don't remember entirely. But, so yeah, we'll have to see how it pans out when it comes out also in America.
Well, 200 million, that's pretty hefty.
Not too much. Keep in mind, a movie like Shang-Chi also had like 200 million, so it really depends on how you use them. Let me check again just to be sure, though. Keep in mind, Warner Bros. Is also putting trust in the director because, as Dweebs mentioned it a couple of times, Denis Villeneuve is also the guy who handled, if I recall correctly, Blade Runner 2149, which was basically a bomb. So there is that. Anyway, next scroll, Jova.
All right, then. I have found Sir Gerard. He hid outside the auditorium. He went mad and now refuses to go on. It seems that the old toy maker has been awoken, and the Knights of the Brotherhood should bow down fearfully before him. Before his talking dolls? What frightful such wooden puppets and string pose? The lights are going out now. The curtain is opening. A melody begins to play, and the presenter starts the show. I must wait here until the music stops. It wouldn't be polite to interrupt the show, after all.
Sadly, he passed away in the meantime. But yeah, for the time being, we
must
just
have been
had...
a real showstopper.
Ha! For the time being, we need to actually reactivate the theater by, believe it or not, actually giving electricity to our device. Again, a bit of schizotech going on. But here are the datas, Jova. At least, but again, by the time we're recording, around the end of September, the budget was officially 165 million.
Ah, okay.
But just from the European market, it did, at this point, mind you, 77.8. So just from the European market, it's doing pretty great, and it's keep growing to day after day. So we'll have to see how it pans out, and if the American market actually can boost it as well. We'll see. Keep in mind, the reception has been positive, overwhelmingly positive. For the critics, at the very least, a 91% on Tomatoes. We'll have to see if there is a case of critical dissonance or not.
What was the movie about?
Sorry, Dweebs?
The new Dune movie.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about people you know who are familiar with this?
I actually went to see it
with
with them, actually. They Love the Other Sundays. They enjoyed it really as well. They actually told me that it's much more favorable than the David Lynch version, but what they appreciate the most was, you know, the sense, like I mentioned before, the sense of dignity that the movie gives to the sort of material.
Wait. David Lynch made the other movie. Oh, God. So how trippy was it?
Not so much trippy, but it has some of his trademark, like having a scene where a character is poisoned, and in order to still be alive day after day, he has to, I'm sorry, Shiri, milk a female cat and drink that milk.
Weirdo.
Of course.
David Lynch kind of loves that weird shit in his products.
Yeah.
I want to remind you, Shiri, that David Lynch is the major person behind the creation of Twin Peaks, the show that was the major inspiration for
Deadly Premonition.
Deadly Premonition.
And
to an extent, Gravity Falls.
To the point where they had to change elements of Deadly Premonition just to avoid getting sued.
Avoid getting sued more.
All right, this next section, as you can see, we're still using the mouse transformation to reactivate some piece of machinery, which includes a small Easter eggs.
Ah, yes, I see somebody watched Mouse Hunt.
God, you remember
Wait,
that
hold on.
movie?
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Just now I'm supposed to actually know the rope. Pay attention to the... Yeah, it's an Acme sack. Ha. That's funny.
I'm disappointed that you didn't put a Looney Tunes sound effect.
Copyright.
No, the sound effect, that specifically said the sound effect, not the music. So, there is that.
Whoever made this was so determined to catch vermin that they made rope for them to chew just to have an acme sack crush them. Beautiful. But, yeah, deadly premonition in that regard. Yeah, it did have to change up a few things.
Anyway, all right, children, pay attention now because we're about to actually have a magical experience.
Oh boy.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if the dream of reason produces monsters, the theater dispels them with its magic. Now be afraid before the conjurer who conquered the creatures of the night. With his genius and his heart. Give a big round of applause for the mighty toy.
I'm not seeing much, but sure, whatever. Anyway, by the way, the quote, one part of the quote that he used, "The fear of reason produces monster," is actually the title of the painting of the famous Spanish author Francisco Goya. That's a nice touch as well. Anyway, let's learn the backstory of the toy maker with a puzzle.
The famous and beloved toy maker, we will learn, has a sad fate over his head. For in spite of his goodness, a path of tragedy and death he will tread. Day and night in his workshop he labors, he hammers, he sweats, and he fasts. And with every blow he strikes, sighs fly from his soul to the figures he crafts.
Alright, based on the narration that the narrator said, we need to put the puppets and the backgrounds in the right order. So, what has he said? The toy maker being in his shop. So let's do that. Every time you get things correctly, you get quite a size of, experience points.
Splendid choice. His fame spreads in whispers across the land far and wide, until his name is known and respected by every man and child. One fateful day, a nobleman
The
knocks
capital
at his
N.
workshop door.
Huh.
He's jolted from his work with a start. The promises and smiles of Walter Bernhard conceal a dark.
Yeah, if you're a Castlevania veteran, you know that this guy is not really that much of a saint. But as the narration said, let's put Walter Bernhard on the scene.
Excellent decision. Walter offers a roof, friendship, protection, a hearth. The Bernhard's castle will be a dazzling mansion for the old toy maker. And worth
You just need a handshake.
a curse on you, Walter Bernhard, for deceiving such a good soul. May you be damned to spend all eternity.
Okay, narrator, I get that the writer has injected a bit of bias in the script, so let's move on and change the scenery to the castle.
I didn't write that bit, I swear.
That's what he like you think.
Our hero works away happily in the castle of his dreams. But soon we will see his perfidious master's purpose is not what it seems.
This feels like a different game at this point.
This is no castle, it's a prison.
Were they influenced by Little Big Planet?
Oh no! The prison where there is nothing on the side of the fence.
It's a representation, Dweebs. Appreciate the
It's a
puppetry.
theatre show, Dwibs. My
Come
God.
on, you're British. You should understand.
No,
Yeah.
theatre presentations at least have it surrounded
But yeah,
by all sides.
Alright, let's select instead the demon since Walter is summoning him.
They're on a budget. They clearly haven't had an audience in a while.
Exactly.
Big budget.
Extraordinary. Who knows? charm. Take cover now, if you're easily alarmed.
You know, I could bash your head in with this hammer that I'm holding, but...
That won't kill him, but instead it will turn him evil.
No. The Toymaker's talent.
And this is why the Toymaker built all the different traps. He was literally under mind control.
The toys and theater he had made. Oh, if only to
But yeah,
undo this
if
vile
only.
spell there was some chance. And so release the good Toymaker from the grip of his vile...
I like to imagine that the Toymaker made this play subconsciously just to clue someone in. Hey, I'm kind of under an evil curse.
No,
maybe you could
actually, I
help
will
me from
explain that in a second, or at the very least at the end. So let's select the toy and the theater, like we mentioned.
Phenomenal!
There's a whole deeper meaning behind also this.
His mind may be in fog, but the Toymaker's good heart shines through, you can tell. And a little love is all it takes to destroy the terrible spell. But now you must think fast, Toymaker. Your situation is dire. Walter Bernhard is returning. I don't know how you can escape from this.
So how to get away with that?
Whack him!
No, actually, well, again, Toymaker is not really a fighter per se.
Unfortunate idea, boys
This,
and girls. Come on, little one. Hold on to that heart so pure and true. In a distant and hopeful future, you may return it to the one who gave it to you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the heart of a man whose goodness is deep. Listen now and decide if you will wake him from his long sleep.
So, what do you say? Should we?
Sure. Seems stressful enough.
Hey.
Nah.
Again,
Come on,
I
Dwibs,
really
have a
kind
heart.
of like how this story is actually told and the
let's-
deeper meanings
let's-
behind it.
Well, that's the thing, Deji. This guy doesn't have one at the minute. And he'll probably try and kill us thinking that we're the enemy.
But yeah, Jova, again, it's the fact that the Toymaker broke through the mind control just enough to create this device. Keep in mind that it's not his actual art, it's more like a device that allowing to regain control, because I will see, and as the scroll said, the Toymaker has this trick that he goes into essentially suspended animation, and the trick to free him is to use that heart that you can gain by piecing together the story. Something that Walter Bernhard could not do it because of how cartoonishly evil he was.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, I always like to imagine that, through the evil, he made that thing to clue people in on his stuff and all that. As for Walter Bernhard, should we tell audience about the context of the character?
Well, I think we did in the first game.
Well,
But hold on, again, at the end of the part, because the entire thing as a whole is worth to be noticed. So yeah, it was supposed to open in the middle of the actual, gallery with the rest of the people. Also a bit too many eyes.
all eyes on him.
Hi.
Well, let's see if this thing works.
It's eyes to see you.
Oh, hello there.
And is voiced by Mark Healy. Apparently he's doing a lot of video game voice acting, even to this day, like Bravely Default 2.
How long has it been? Ah, never mind. It doesn't matter now. Your face seems oddly familiar. Oh,
This guy's left.
you must forgive me. I'm just a little
He's a bit
confused,
of
you see.
a bit of a
Suppose
childish
that memory
nature,
will
as you can
return in
imagine.
time.
But let's get to the point.
Your memories are of no interest to me, Toymaker. I'm looking for the Mirror of Fate.
The mirror of fate.
I hear you can buy that in the local game store.
If I'm not mistaken, the mirror was broken many years ago. Yes, now I remember. It was when the Lord of Darkness was...
Remember, the Toymaker
by his
was
horse.
around that point.
The castle came down.
Of course, as you'll remember, he was in his evil state at that
Mhm.
point.
Well, probably what you can easily guess the fact that when Dracula was defeated, you know, he actually snapped again and decided to retire again in his suspension animation.
I found a fragment and I kept it. Now I remember.
Oh no!
God damn it, Castle!
What do you even want from him? Come on, man!
They want to use him to force Dracula to be back with her. And them.
Don't worry, he's fine.
Just
Never
evil
mind.
again.
Time to play.
Well, what if we don't want to?
Sadly, we don't have a choice here. Eh?
Yeah,
We actually need to listen to another store while fighting him, believe it or not.
Oh,
No.
While he's fighting with this thing, the Master of Ceremonies.
What have we here today? A walk-on actor. Let's see how well you employ
Sure, why
Look at
not?
this Dr. Wiley contraption.
the valiant Sir Walter de Grey.
Alright, here we go.
I swear this is not our how we cast our actors here in Britain.
Alright,
Sure.
let me read first the bio, why not? One of the first tasks that the Bernhard gave to the Toymaker before condemning him to slavery was to build an exotic puppet theater. The play meant to represent the feats of Sir Walter the Grey, an epic story of a knight who defeats the defeated evil Garon Sauron Vangtorix and saved the entire kingdom. However, the childish nature that the chubby Toymaker gave to the wooden figures deeply displeased his master, who never allowed him to debut. The colorful puppets were directed by the puppet master figure, an almost articulated structure that enabled the master to control the prey from above. Although they were not, essentially you get the idea.
Basically, it's a puppet made to control other puppets.
I also love the quotes down through the entire battle because again, you're supposed to represent the story.
The memory of his beloved Brunhilde filled the knight's arm with strife.
Sure. I also
masturbation?
I also really love the battle film. It's actually my favorite from the entire game.
Why are you getting revenge against me? If anything, Dracula was your kindest master.
Well, he actually readapts the story for the fact that Dracula is the invader, you know, and that characters in the story had to actually defeat him. And each time you defeat one, you get to smack the Master of Ceremony in the face.
I mean, you're trying to kill me.
So if outshining you involves, well, living, so be it.
Alright.
The treacherous dragon Sauron Gantharix, seeing the kingdom unprotected.
Wow, the actor got it in one take. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at doing this stuff on the fly.
And as you can see, even all the special effects are represented by fireworks. It's actually very cute.
Feels like something straight out of Puppeteer.
Yeah, it actually is.
No, not so hard.
It's a very delicate.
It actually has another quote that I didn't manage to trigger, but it says, "Oh, careful, this puppet is very fragile."
Not so hard. The dragon's breath was ablaze while the planet sank.
Alright, here we go.
Well, it's certainly made a bit of a kind of vacuum there.
Come on, Sauron Gantharix. Don't
He's a
fall
literal
asleep
patchwork
now.
tongue. Alright, let's burn it.
Stop undermining my plan.
Play sucks.
Lives, are you really sure you haven't wrote this?
Yeah. And then Dracula decides to undermine the play because it sucks.
It seems very natural for you to write.
Alright, last phase.
Don't get up. The show's not over yet. Let's see how well you play.
I'm already dead.
You'll need to die again.
What you need to do, as you will see in a second, I need to use a projectile to actually knock him down. It's surprisingly easy once you figure it out.
Phew, that was close.
Also, pardon the clipping that you might have seen. I guess it just happens. Also, if you actually notice, when you actually hit Toymaker here, instead of just doing the traditional slashing that Dracula does, it's an actual softer sound. Pay attention for keeping that in mind for when the battle actually ends, like now. Alright, that's it. You're now playing.
No more Mr. Nice Struggle.
Time to close the curtain.
Rude.
Hey, it's my theatre. I can throw up in it if I want.
It's already the same color as the carpet, so you know.
Who's gonna notice?
It's normal now.
Yes, actually. And believe it or not, Dracula has a surprising moment of humanity towards him.
From what it seems like, I guess he can empathize with somebody who's got as much a crap deal as the Toymaker apparently.
Ah, that's a nice observation, Jova. More in a second.
Here it is. Oh yes, good, good. You know, it's all starting to come back to me.
I hope it's not your evil side.
I know who you are. Oh my.
And he's terrified.
Goodbye, old man. God, you
He actually has encouraging words for you.
So yeah, basically Dracula lets him
And
retire.
we just essentially leave him there, sobbing because he actually remembers all the shit that he has done.
Wow.
Well, that's how all's well that ends well.
Good luck in therapy.
I mean, it's better than him dying.
I suppose. Well, let's get this bio first. Gandolfi's most outstanding pupil, loved and admired for his magnificent toys, was fooled by the evil Walter Bernhard. A prisoner in his castle and victim of a demonic curse, the Toymaker has never stopped making tools of suffering and animating the bodies of the dead for hundreds of years. One day, one of his puppets moved in deeply to the point where he wanted to give it his own heart. He gave the small wooden boy, whom he loved as a son, the only organ that had not even corrupted, on the condition that he protected it from the darkness only over the rest of his being. His body remained in a glass coffin, forgotten by all, except for his loyal puppets, who still await his return.
So get this, Bernhard's castle, before becoming Frankenstein's castle, before becoming Carmilla's castle, is this castle, which sort of fits here.
But yeah, Walter Bernhard, like we mentioned, is actually the main villain of Lament of Innocence, so that's a cute reference to that, and the official main antagonist before Dracula shows up.
Like this. For all intents and purposes, Walter Bernhard is the main catalyst. That is the reason that the Castlevania timeline is a thing. So,
yeah, it actually
kind of
is.
Fitting, he would also be up to crap in this version. But
what's the deeper meaning instead also of this? If you paid attention of noticing similarities, both the Toymaker's backstory and the play that he built for Sir Walter the Grey and the Dragon Sarongantorix are parallel to Gabriel's own backstory, someone who was the champion of all that is good, trying to defeat evil, only to becoming essentially another, evil in itself and feeling hopelessness. However, if you remember, the story of the Toymaker ends with something hopeful, something that snaps him, and that, that potentially allows for redemption. So we'll see if the story of Gabriel, is keeps being parallel to this.
One thing to remember, though, they did foretell that Walter may be returning. What could that mean?
That as well. So, I hope you enjoyed this theater, but please give 5 stars on whatever app it's used to rate theater plays.
I'll give it a solid 3.
As for the next part, we return. If I recall correctly, we do return to the real world. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah.
Yeah.